Hi, this is Clodagh from Yarn Not Alone Muscat, and I often have questions about the where to find the beginning of the yarn. And when we are making the beanies and we're using two strands of yarn, I often tell people the best thing to do is to bring your yarn from the middle, not from the one you might see already wrapped around the outside. The reason for that is if you take off the band and use the one that's on the outside, you have to pull and pull and pull, and basically it becomes a big fat ball, and you have a lot of chance of it getting tied up and messed. When you pull the yarn from the middle, what happens is basically the yarn keeps coming out from the middle and eventually the ball collapses in on itself. It just makes transporting the yarn and pulling it out a lot easier. So that then leads us to, well, how do I find the yarn in the middle? Now, if we had a golden answer for that, we'd all be rich. There's a couple of things you can look for. When you have your yarn, often you'll find one end that is not as open as the other. That's usually the first thing I look for. Then it really is a matter of just going in and finding a yarn on top, and you're either going to get lucky or not, to be honest. Now this is pretty lucky. So just a small amount has come out here, but it means that I can find the end of my yarn. And so what I do now is I roll what I have taken out of the skein or a ball, and I just pop that back in, and now that one is ready to go. Let's see if we're as lucky with this one. This one you can see, it's quite closed up here. It's a lot more open here. So I'm going to try this end. And again, what I do is I open that ball up a little bit, and then I pop my fingers in and try and feel if I can get, usually you feel like there's just a little bit at the end. Now this one's obviously a bigger one, but I have managed, there we go, to find the end. Now, I could just push that back in, but I won't. I'll quickly roll it up so that it doesn't get tangled. Now, if you've ever been in this situation, you can see this one came out a little bit more. If you've ever been in a situation where you've tried to find the middle and you feel like you've ended up pulling out half of the ball, we've all been there many, many times. The best thing to do is to be patient. A friend of mine, she likes to rewind all of her skeins into balls, like round balls. So that's another way you can go about it. The worst case scenario, sometimes if we get ourselves into a huge mess, and it really is a last resort, is that we cut the yarn. So I now have those two ends done. I'm just going to pop that back in so that it will pull out. And even when I start, I might just pull that piece out and leave it on the table, because very quickly as you go around the loom, you'll use up that end. I've just brought out another ball here of a different type of yarn. Now this is a bit tricky. You can see here, there's one here that's coming out of the middle. And you think, oh, that's so lucky. But actually, look what happens. You pull it out, and it's the end. Because what some of the manufacturers do is when they finish winding, they then go and tuck that end in. So this is definitely not the end that we're looking for, and I'm just going to tuck that in there. And I'm going to go to the opposite end now and see if I can find it. So I'm going to pull out a little bit here, and I can feel like a lot more is going to come out. There we go. Okay, so this is the approach we take. Any ball that you have, take a look. This one, definitely harder, because you can see that it's quite differently wound. So this one, again, it comes a bit of a practice of feeling where you can feel a little bit, and there we go. There's the end. Let's see if we can find another one. That one you can see again, doesn't really show one of the ends. But if I open it up with my fingers a little bit, you can usually kind of feel if there's, this one is definitely a little harder. There's a ball. You see how big that one has come out? But now as that comes out, what I will do is just in my hand, I'm going to look to see if I can find the end. And then I will replace the rest and put it back in. So that's what I would do with that one. This one, could we be so lucky? No, you see what's happened? As I pull this one, it's actually pulling here, which means this is the yarn that the manufacturer has finished winding with. So what I usually do is I just wrap that around the ball so I know that that is not the end we're going to be using. And I go fishing to see what I can find. And I can usually feel pretty quickly if it's going to be a big amount coming out, which in this ball I feel like it is going to be a really big amount. So I slowly take it out. And now again, I'm going to look for the end and I'm going to put the rest back in. So I hope that's helped you in learning how to find the ends of your yarn. And when you have, it will really make the beginning of your project so much easier. Thanks for watching.